So this is lesson 5 in module 1. This is page 21 on your packet. We are going to construct a perpendicular bisector that goes through a point A in this case, and the point A is actually outside of the line. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw something that you might hear from your teachers called the smiley face. So the smiley face is going to go right here. Notice that the smiley face, it's going to make a couple points of intersection. So make sure that the line or the smile that you choose goes beyond the line. It could be any radius, so it doesn't need to be this big. It just needs to make sure it crosses the line L. Okay, once we have that, don't lose the radius or the distance that you just got from A to one of these points of intersection. So don't lose it, just leave it there because we're going to try to reuse it. And we're going to do the following. We need a line that goes through point A. So the smiley face really is very helpful because if you see this, you're going to notice that this is just what we've done in the past. If you forget about everything else that's around it, around the highlighted section in yellow, what we need to do is we need to bisect this. We need to draw a perpendicular bisector. So if you focus on these 2 points and just on the yellow segment, just try to imagine how can we use all the lessons that we've learned, how can we use to draw the perpendicular bisector of this. Okay, so look back at your notes and double check. Maybe you have an idea, or maybe you still need to put steps together, but this is what we're going to do. So if we need to bisect the yellow line, we are going to say, well, we need to draw some arcs, some half circles. So I'm going to say make sure it's past the middle of this yellow line. So I could say that it's actually the distance between the blue point of intersection to the left all the way to A. And I could just say, well, if I draw an arc or half a circle from there to there, right? And I repeat the step once again, not at center at this blue point of intersection. I'm going to use the next one. So I have to use the same radius because I want to make sure the line that I draw, it has to be midway. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a little off. So let me just fix this a little bit. There you go. So as you can see, this is something you learned in previous lessons, the perpendicular bisector. And all you have to do is just draw your line. So I'll do it in purple. And we're going to do a line that goes through those 2 points of intersections right here and right on top. But let me extend this a little bit. So from there to here, from point A to the bottom point of intersection. And that is it. So a smiley face really is just a good strategy for us to just use the perpendicular bisector once again from those 2 blue points of intersection. So quite a few steps that I wrote down. Smiley face is the first step. The next step should be using the same radius. So I said from whatever A to the blue line, blue arc that I did, the smiley face. You're going to be center at CB. This C and B over here, I put it in red. It just means center at B. So the C just means center at B. So center at B is right here. So center at B, I'm going to make my first green arc. And then I'm going to repeat that center at C. Okay, and then I need to find out what is the perpendicular bisector of that segment CB. And we can just double check, and which is goes from the point A to the point D. Right, so let's go to the next page, page 22. The first thing we're going to do is, well, we got to read some of the steps. It says construct a line perpendicular to L1 through point A. Call this new line L3, and construct a line that's perpendicular to L3 through point A. So we have to draw a couple of perpendicular lines. The first one, again, we need to do is we need to draw a perpendicular line that goes from A to some other point on this line that's given L1. So again, smiley face, I'll do it in black. So I'm just gonna do just a big enough so I can see my smile. Okay, label your points of intersection if you would like, maybe B and C. So now once again, all I care is just right now I need to focus on bisecting this segment right here, the BC, the yellow. So using perpendicular bisector steps, we need to bisect this. So once again, I need to do center at, in this case, at B first. I will reuse the same radius just to make sure we don't lose the actual distance, and it's easier for us just so it intersects right at the bottom. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix this up a little bit. So I'm gonna first use center C, I'm sorry, center B, and I'm gonna use black once again. So I'm gonna do half of a circle. Oh, what's going on? What is going on in here? So there you go. Sorry. Half of a circle. Okay, we're doing again the perpendicular bisector of BC. And repeat the step, center at C. We're gonna do the next one. Okay, so we draw our perpendicular bisector. I'm gonna do it in purple once again. And it's gonna go from here to these points of intersections. I'm sorry if it's a little off. I'm going to drag it a little bit, make sure it's nice and extended. There you go. Okay, so there it is, point A and that other point of intersection. So now we bisected the segment BC. We didn't use the entire line. We just chose a couple of segments, but we had to do smiley face first. Now, once again, we're going to have to do smiley face again. So what I would recommend you to do is put your paper rotated 90 degrees towards your right. And so you can bisect the purple line. So I can't rotate my paper right now. So what I'm going to do is just center at A. Okay, we are going to do a smiley face. So it doesn't matter the distance that you choose, the radius that you choose whatever you want. I'm just going to stick with something that we've used in the past maybe. So I'm going to use this one. Actually, maybe I'll do it here. Okay, we're going to do smiley face. Once again, oh, notice that my purple line, it's not intersecting that smile. So let's try to make sure you extend this long enough. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see what's going on. Okay, there you go. So now that we have my smiley face, as you can see, is the blue line. It's sideways in my case. So let's label these points of intersections so we see what's going on. All right. So now I need to draw the perpendicular bisector of the next segment. So I'm going to erase something before we begin. And we're gonna do the perpendicular bisector of this particular segment. Okay, once again, rotate your paper if it makes it easier for you. So if we're gonna do the perpendicular bisector of this segment, we have to center at this blue point of intersection. Okay, we can use, we have to be careful of the distance that we're going to use. Now, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to use from that blue center to the point A, because remember, perpendicular bisectors, we have to go a little over halfway the segment, the segment. All right, so make sure you're beyond A. I'm going to choose green in this case. So we're going to do a perpendicular bisector once again. So now we center at that first blue point of intersection. Now I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to be center at the other blue point of intersection, and we're going to do the other half circle, the green half circle. Might be ideal to use different colors so that way you notice what's going on and don't get lost. Okay, so as you can see, I placed two big points of intersections right there. So now we're going to draw is a segment that goes from, I'm going to do it in green, that goes from those two green points of intersection. Okay, so make sure you're keeping track of what you're doing. Be careful. My line is a little off. So let me try to fix that. So let me move it a little bit. out of this way. I'm so sorry that this is happening. All right, I was able to fix it. So as you can see, my green and my purple lines are the ones that I created. So I did two perpendicular bisectors, okay? The green line is the one that represents my parallel line. So I could say that L1 and L3, I'm sorry, L2 are the two parallel lines. So I could refer this to as L1 is parallel to L2. Okay, and all I used was smiley face and perpendicular bisector strategies. Okay, now this is just a little bit of vocabulary, what parallel lines are. Parallel lines are just, there are two lines that are equidistant, two or more lines are equidistant. In this case, M and N, it was an example of the diagram. You may see it as AM double dash N, or you can see two arrowheads on each line, or one arrowhead, I'm sorry. Now, the next question says, in the construction above, you have also constructed a square inscribed in a circle. Can you find it? Now, I just want you to focus on something. Looking back, if you complete that blue circle, notice that, let me just try to finish that blue circle. So if we complete that entire blue circle, so let's try to make sure we measure that properly. All right, so if I complete this blue circle, I could see that, whoop, it's not precisely there, but you get the idea. I could see that if I connect these 3 points, this one right here, this one right here, this one right here, and this one right here, I could create a inscribed square. Okay, so notice that that's my square, the one in yellow. So it doesn't really matter how big the circle is. Just got to keep in mind that the center has to be at A, and then just got to rotate it. You're just going to go around A, whatever radius you choose. Okay, so all you have to do is just connect all those points of intersection on the circle. Let's move on to the next page. The example 2 says, what are the characteristics of a square? Well, as you may notice, the square has 4 right angles. That means there's perpendicular segments, and it has 4 congruent sides. So they have 4 equal sides. So let's try to figure this out. It says we need to construct a square using this AB segment. So AB just needs to repeat the distance between A and B has to show up in each side of the square, because again they have to be all the same sides. Okay, so what I first did is, please do as well, extend A and extend the segment from both sides. So make sure you make a little round dot for A and for B, so that way we know where to put our center and where to put how to put a compass on it. All right, once you extend it, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to make some smiley faces. Because again, I need some perpendicular line that goes through B. So if I make some smiley faces, it's going to help me do but use the different steps before that we've done, that it's going to lead us to perpendicular bisectors. So let's make a smiley face from here to here. Okay, now let's make sure we make some marks right here. You may want to write down and label these points. I'm going to call it maybe M and N. Okay, so now once again, we focus only on this segment, and we need to bisect this segment, the yellow one, from M to N. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bisect that. And we're going to do the following from M, not to B, because that would be halfway. It has to be beyond halfway. So we're going to go a little over that. We're going to do perpendicular bisector, a perpendicular bisector. So we go from there to there. Do not lose your distance. And we're going to repeat the same step for N. So there you go. That's your first line, your perpendicular bisector will be right there. So let's make the line that goes from here to here. Okay, you should extend this line to perpendicular bisector just long enough so just in case you need room for that. Okay, do not erase anything. Just keep track of the points that you have. You have A, you have B right here. Okay, as you may notice, I need another smiley face. So repeat the steps for A. I'm going to pause the video. I'm just going to jump ahead. Okay. So what we did is we drew the perpendicular bisector that goes through point A. Again, you could choose any distance for the smiley face. Just my goal is just to create a segment that it's going to make it easier to bisect. Ooh. So the next step is that we need to translate the segment AB and measure the distance from point A and B. So let's do the following. Let's copy this segment. We go from point A to point B. Now remember, the reason why we're doing this is because we're trying to draw a square. So copy this segment and just take a look at it. Where should we copy this? Pause the video to just have an idea. And if you know what it is, we want to make sure we change it. We put in this center A at center B. And now we're making this little tab. That way I keep the same distance for all four sides. Okay? Do the same thing here for A and B. Okay, same distance, do not lose it. That point of intersection, or those points of intersections, is what's going are going to help me draw my fourth segment. So let's go ahead and place my line from here to here. Now, as you can see, I'm going to make it in a highlighted color. All these four sides, they have to measure the same because I copied the segment for that last segment. All right, so if you have to do your homework, please look at the video once again, and if you have any questions, talk to your teacher. Bye.